Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Thursday, September the 1st, 2022. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am here solo today to go over a very busy day of Major League Baseball. We have 8 games, and they're spread out throughout the day. We have one going live in about an hour, and then they go through all the way until a late game this evening. The sites are all broken up in different ways, DraftKings, Fanduel, and Yahoo. So we're just going to go over all 8 games. I'm going to give you my regular stuff like I normally do, the pay-ups, the values, the fades, all of that kind of stuff, and just let you pick and choose what slate you're playing. There's some good early slate contests on DraftKings and Fanduel. There's an all day on Yahoo you can play. And then, of course, the main slates this evening. A little bit different on DraftKings and FanDuel, one hour difference and one game different. So it's going to be a little bit of different builds today, but it gives you a lot of opportunities at some different combinations. So I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor today. It's Boom Fantasy. They have launched, and you'll see on our bio here, the link is there if you want to connect to Boom Fantasy and play there. Very, very excited to launch this partnership, and we're going to grow with them. They're going to be the best in the industry, and can't wait to give out some Boom Fantasy plays, some free stuff from Boom. We got all kinds of good things coming here at Coach Talk. So I appreciate you jumping in with me today. I know we're at this hour before lock, if you will. And there's a lot of choices to make out there. And I'm really happy that you chose Coach Talk to jump in here with us. So really appreciate that. And we're going to go through again all 8 games, give you a good idea of what to look forward to today. And we're going to go after it from there. A couple of things. The weather looks great. 0 weather concerns as of the moment. Things may change as the day goes on. So if they do, I'll certainly let everybody know, and we'll update from there. But right now, no fades. Everything looks like it's playable and should be a good thing to go. Real quickly, quick hellos in chat. Hello, Rodney. You were the first one in today, so you win the prize today. Congratulations. Payne Blanksman is in there. Of course, Boy from Cali and Absolute Power have jumped in first. So hopefully we grab some other folks from some of these other spots. Mr. Few, how are you, man? Is Boom legal in Texas? You know what? I don't have that answer, but I'll get that answer for you. The specific states. I was talking to somebody from Boom this morning, and they're going to get me a complete list of states where they are legal and where they're going legal very soon. Again, if you sign up through any of the spots where you can sign up for Boom Fantasy, we have the link right here on Twitter. We have the link right here on YouTube. You can go to our website, dfscoachtalk.com. We have the link there. If you sign up through those links, you get a 100% match all the way up to $100 on your first deposit. And what I'll do is I'll also be posting some contests that we're going to have, some giveaways, and all that kind of information with Boom. Also, I'll put out there on Twitter, so our non-members, and then in Discord for our members, what states Boom Fantasy is legal in. And if you want to check them out, you can really dig in to them a lot on Twitter. You go to Play Boom Sports, PlayBoomSports. So you can check that out there. I'm telling you, it's going to be fantastic, though. Really excited for this. King of all trades, what's up, man? Mr. Few is in. King of Smack, yo. Great to have you with us again. Not the best night last night. It's so hard when you have like a massive takedown night to come back the next night. I don't know what it is. I told you guys yesterday that it's tough sometimes to follow up a huge day with another huge day. And It just didn't go that great yesterday. I did have some success in some head-to-heads, and I always recommend, doing that. Some 50-50s, double ups, head-to-heads. That always really supplements if you don't have some optimal builds in some of the single entries and the GPPs. One thing I wanted to mention for members, also, we've decided what we're going to do going forward. We've been messing with it the last couple of weeks, but now we're getting close to football. So if you become a member of Coach Talk, here's what you can expect for all of our sports. We're going to give out a core build for a single entry play on DraftKings, and we're going to give out a core build GPP play on for DraftKings, full single entry lineup on Fanduel and Yahoo, and full GPP lineup for Fanduel and Yahoo. So that's what we settled on. The members have spoken. That's what they want us to provide, and that's what we're going to go for. So that's what you can expect going into football, the rest of the time in baseball, certainly NBA, and all of our other sports that we have going. I'd love to see people filtering in here. We know that we only have about an hour until lock for the early slate. So I'm really going to go through these 8 games, break them all down for you. So if you're playing early, that mid-afternoon, the late, the main, you name it, all day, we've got you covered here. King of Smack, what'd we do with Cap yesterday? Not so good. I know I just don't trust that guy, man. It's hard. He had it going a little bit there for a while, but there were a lot of pitchers that have been struggling like that throughout. So I'm with you, man. It's really getting those consistent pitchers are really key. I think I've got some good selections today, and they're not overly pricey either. So I love it. King of all trades. I absolutely love the good vibes. I am all about that mojo and that good feeling. So I appreciate you bringing those to chat. Being September, I wanted to play the old Earth, Wind, and Fire September song. That's one of my favorites on the intro, but didn't have time to plug that in there. So DeGrom, dude. I mean, we talked about it on here. I mean, he's just otherworldly. That the statistics that he's rolling out there. Did you see that he hasn't let a leadoff man on like since last year? I mean, or one guy maybe. I mean, that's just insanity. I've never seen anything like it. He is absolutely locked up Cy Young. There's no doubt about it. So absolutely fantastic stuff. Again, really fired up. If you see on the bottom of the screen here, you can win 40x on Boom Fantasy. It really is awesome. 55 Fanduel points, not too shabby there. So very nice. King of all trades, no doubt. Riley, though, wow, man, is that kid tough. Anyway, Boom Fantasy, you can see on the bottom, and we have a link in our bio on Twitter, on TikTok, on YouTube. It's on our website. So sign up through us. They will match you dollar for dollar all the way up to $100 on that first deposit. So give Boom Fantasy a try. All right, my friends, we are diving into this sucker like nobody's business. We're hitting all 8 games, and we're going to win some money today. I love the good vibes. I'm building off of it, and we're going right after it from game 1. 110 game in 1 hour and 1 minute from right now. Seattle Mariners and Detroit Tigers. 80 degrees in Detroit. Slight breeze blowing in from right. Nothing that's going to affect anything. 7.5 is the Vegas total. 4.10 implied for the Mariners. 3.40 for the Tigers. Logan Gilbert, 7.8K against Eduardo Rodriguez, the lefty, at 7.1K. We have lineups out here as well, so we'll have a lot of lineups for these early games already posted. Logan Gilbert is one of my value/pay-up pitchers today. I've got 2 of them. They're both borderline value, borderline pay-up, but they're pretty cheap. Logan Gilbert I like because Detroit, we know, just absolutely struggles against right-handed pitchers. They're 29th out of 30 teams in the league, batting .216 against righties. And Gilbert's a nice young pitcher. I mean, he's got some decent stuff. Also, Detroit's dead last in Major League Baseball with only 59 home runs against righties this season. So they have struggled mightily. Their lineup is definitely a bit shaky. And I think it's 7-8 on DraftKings. That's just too low. Fanduel, he's 9K, and he's a really cheap $38 on Yahoo. So I think Gilbert, terrific play today on that main slate or the all-day slate. He did just okay against Cleveland, but Cleveland is a hitting team. Not bad, and then decent against Oakland and Texas. The only bad games he had were against the Yankees, and that's excusable. But he had some big games against Houston, Texas, Toronto. He pitched well. So, I mean, you're going to get him going good 6 innings. And, his strikeouts aren't anything to write home about. But against Detroit in this kind of matchup, I think he can get a good 5, 6, 7 strikeouts. And that's all we need here from Mr. Gilbert. As far as the bats go in this game, obviously I'm not going with any Detroit bats. Went with Julio Rodriguez yesterday, was a little disappointed, so I don't think I'm going to go up to that 6-1 number. But I think you could look in the middle of that order. Ty France at 4-1, Mitch Haniger 5-1. They've both been good all season. And then the guy that's on fire is Suarez. My goodness, he's hitting home runs all over the place. He is up to 5.5K, so a little costly, but he's definitely a very good buy-up option. If you want to go cheap, the bottom of that order with Toro and Crawford and Haggerty, Caselli and Trammell, they're all cheap. And I think, a one-off, or if you go with the stack with Suarez down, you can get a pretty good cheap stack there. All right, game 2. It's at 2:10. Kansas City Royals at the Chicago White Sox. We've got 85 warm degrees in Chicago. Slight wind blowing in from right at 10 miles an hour. It is a 9 total in Vegas, 3.67 implied for the Royals, and a big 5.33 for the White Sox. People love to stack the White Sox. They get that high implied total. Sometimes they come through, but not all the time, but certainly have a nice matchup here. It is Daniel Mengden, I can never say his name, Mengden, 6.8K, Johnny Cueto, 8.9K. As far as this game goes, I like the sticks here. I'm not a big Cueto guy at that price, and Kansas City has been hitting. So I think you have some really good options, especially on the early slate. If you want to go anywhere on the top of that lineup, Melendez, Witt, Perez, Prado, and even Michael Taylor, 2.1K, and Michael Massey we've used at dead min 2K. So you can get some cheap guys with a little bit of the pricier guys at the top of that KC lineup and feel pretty good about it. And then the White Sox, a lot of people are going to stack them. They're affordable. I mean, they're leading off Elvis Andrus, which is sort of bizarre at this point in his career. He's 2.5K. He does get on base decent amount, so you can think about it. But really the meat of their order, Vaughn, Abreu, Jimenez, and Sheets, although we called him Jimenez instead of Jimenez the other day because he didn't hit for us. But let's see if he can get that H pronunciation back today. I definitely can see that all the way down to Grandal and Pollock, 6-7. They really have 2 through 7 extremely stackable and not going to break the bank. So you can have Abreu and Jimenez in your stack there. I think it's going to be pretty chalky, and we'll be putting out ownership and everything in our Discord. Didn't want to go through all of that right now because we're, before lock here, but we know Chicago's going to be highly owned. I'm going to have some exposure. I'm not going to go 5 deep or anything like that. Probably 3, and trying to make sure that I'm able to balance some of the salary there. All right. The next game is a 4:05 game. It's the Oakland A's and Washington Nationals. It is 89 degrees in Washington, breeze blowing out to right field at 6 miles an hour. Vegas total here is 8, split right down the middle, 4 on each side. Ken Waldichuk, the lefty, 5K. is getting the call for Oakland, and Paulo Espino, 5.4K for the Nationals. Little bit of information on Waldichuk. He was the key pitcher that they got in the Frankie Montas deal when they made that deal with the Yankees. And this kid is really showing some minor leagues potential. A lot of strikeouts. He does get hit a little bit. He can give up some contact and barrel, but his strikeout ratio is terrific. In the minors, 3.53 ERA, which isn't anything terrific, and a 1.27 whip. You would want a little bit better in the minors, but 91 strikeouts in 66 innings is pretty impressive. I don't know how deep they'll get with him today. Definitely a riskier play if you play him. If you look at his last outings in the minors, 4 1/3, 5, 3 2/3, 6, 5, 5, 5 1/3, 5. So, 5 innings is probably what you're going to get or to expect. Is that going to be enough? I mean, the strikeouts, even though AAA, 7, 8, 3, 11, 5, 7, 9, 12. So he does have that potential. So not a terrible risk if you want to go SP2 with him, but certainly not something that is going to be super highly owned, but an option if you want to really invest in bats. All right, so in that game, again, if you're going to give Waldichuk, that lefty, a try, the Nationals are nothing to write home about. We know that, but they do have some pop in the middle of that order. Meneses, Voit, Cruz, 2, 3, 4. Those would be the guys he has to get by. I think the bottom of the lineup is pretty poor. Some youngsters and a lot of strikeouts. So not going to be rostering much on the Nationals side. If I don't use Waldichuk as a secondary option as an SP2, I may play one off there with the Nationals. On the Oakland side, they're playable and cheap. Espino's been pretty terrible. And, you have Kemp in that leadoff spot, and he is a decent on-base guy at 2.8K. And then, the rest of that lineup in the middle of it, Murphy's price is all the way up to 4.8, so that makes him a little bit tough. But Seth Brown, lefty, at only 3.1, probably batting cleanup. Guys like Pinder and Machine, Jonah Bride. If you want to go cheap, you can find a couple of players here from Oakland that can balance out your lineup. All right, the other 4:10 game, actually it's 5 minutes later, at 4:10 is a real feature game on the slate here, and it is the Dodgers and Mets. A couple of big name pitchers in this one as well. It's 85 degrees, so it's pretty hot in New York. Wind blowing out to right, so definitely going to be advantageous to the hitters in this game. 11 miles an hour out to right. 7.5 is only the total, though. Pretty low for these teams. 3.98 implied for the Dodgers, 3.52 for the Mets. The older gentleman of the league here, one of the older guys, Clayton Kershaw, the lefty, 10.4K. Chris Bassett chips in at 9.9K. So a battle here will ensue. Two pitchers that can pitch very well. We don't know how deep Kershaw is going to go. We expect we'll get a decent showing from him, but you've got two teams that can hit. We both know that. We saw what the god of pitching DeGrom did yesterday, but my fade pitcher today, believe it or not, is going to be Chris Bassett. I know that's not going to be a popular sentiment, but following up, trying to follow up with DeGrom did, and the fact that he is extremely expensive. Bassett is 9.9 on DraftKings, 10.4 on Fanduel, and 53 on Yahoo. I just don't see paying up to that number for him against this potent Dodgers lineup. Bassett's been good. There's no question about it. Has he been lights out? I wouldn't say so. He struggled a little bit in that last game against Colorado, gave up 4 earned runs and only struck out 1. So, that's not that impressive. Only struck out 4 against Philly. The game before that, only 5. So, I mean, his strikeouts are nowhere near, where we would really need him to pay off that price. And going against a Dodgers lineup like that, it just doesn't add up for me. So he'll be a full fade for me. I think he'll grab some ownership still just because it's Chris Bassett and people saw, that the Dodgers struggled yesterday. So again, I'm sure I'll get some pushback on that, but I think it makes perfect sense to go elsewhere today. As far as some of that Dodgers lineup, I do like some of their hitters. Problem is, you break the bank to get them, but there are a lot of cheap options to balance. It's ridiculous, though. How about Bet 6-3, Turner? That's Trey Turner, 6'2", Freeman, 6K. Are you kidding me? Will Smith, 5'7", Max Muncy, 5. I mean, it's unbelievable how they priced this Dodgers team. Are those prices too high in New York against a guy like Bassett? Possibly. Is it going to keep some of their ownership down? Definitely. So I, as much as I don't want to pay those prices, from a leverage standpoint, I like that it's going to keep some of the ownership down for LA, and I'm going to try to have some of that exposure. I also like the bottom of the order as well. Justin Turner's 4-5, Lux 3-9, Gallo 3-7, Bellinger 4-1. I mean, you can easily stack anywhere 1 through 9 and feel very comfortable with it with the Dodgers. All right. Before we get to the 6-10 one, let me check. I have not looked at we're a great group in here today, man. Thank you everybody for joining in. I wasn't sure what type of group we'd get in here, going against some of the other folks here before lock, and it's awesome to see everybody in there. Another 2-1 game, Dodgers and Mets, according to King of Smack. Boom Fantasy. I don't know what states they're legal in off the top of my head, and I did ask that question. I wanted to have that info for you for the podcast, and Boom is going to get back to me today. I will post that on our Twitter at DFS Coach Talk and in our Discord for members. So I'll let everybody know. But Boom Fantasy, if you're looking him up on Twitter, play Boom Sports, and go through any of our social media, our website here on Twitter, on TikTok, on YouTube. If you click the link there, it takes you where you can download the app, and they'll match you $1 for $1 up to $100 on your deposit. So definitely take a look into it. All right, let's see. Kemp let me down. Yep. Bassett may get spanked. I'm with you, man. I think it's a tough matchup for him. Kershaw, not too bad, too high. Let's see, too high coach when you can get other sports, but definitely low ownership. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Let's see here. Big day today. I agree, Todd. We're making money today. I'm saying it right now. We're making money today on a bunch of these slates. I feel super, super confident. Big Bino, how are you, man? What's good, coach? Good. I'm glad you feel the same way on Bassett. I think his pricing is just ridiculous for the hitting that the Dodgers have and the lack of strikeouts that Bassett has provided lately. So hopefully that catches everything up. If I missed anything, Sean V, what's up, man? See that you're in there too. Great to have this group in here. It's the regulars mainly, and that means a lot. We're going to bring it live to you 7 days a week for all our sports, and love sharing everything that we can in here and getting everybody going. All right, we're keeping the pedal to the metal today. We don't have time to waste because we're closer to lock. So this game is part of, I believe, the Fanduel 4-game slate for the main, and the other one has a 3-game slate. It starts at the 7-10 game. So the 6-10 game is the Baltimore Orioles and Cleveland Guardians. It is going to be played in Cleveland. Warm 79, slight breeze, nothing much to speak of. 7.5 is the Vegas total, 3.18 implied for Baltimore, 4.32 implied for the Guardians. It's Kyle Bradish, 6.4K, going up against Shane Bieber. Bieber's 9.6K. I'm not diving on Bieber today here at all. Baltimore's just been so good. I'm not a complete fade on Bieber. I do like him. I think he's solid, but I do think that I want to look at some hitting on both sides here. I think Baltimore has a few guys in here that you really can't consider. I know paying 5-6 for Adley Rutschman is brutal against a Bieber, but man, his left-handed power, I talk about it all the time, but he's just ridiculous. How about the rookie, Gunnar Henderson? His first game, he homers. I wish I was an Orioles fan. I mean, their young core is terrifyingly good. They're a team to reckon with going forward. But, Baltimore has some lefties, I think, that can give Bieber trouble in Mullins, Rutschman, the switch hitter, Santander, the switch hitter, and then Gunnar Henderson, the lefty, Rougned Odor toward the bottom of that lineup. I mean, just enough, I think, that they can keep Bieber in check. I'm not going to be stacking Baltimore, but I do want one or two guys there, one of probably a pay up and one of a little bit cheaper, because I do think they're going to scratch some runs against the Guardians. On the other side, I do like Cleveland a lot. I like their pricing. They're scrappy, and I could see them as one of my stacks just because the price is right with the hitting propensity here. And I'm not a big Bradish guy. He's done better in spots, but at 6'4", he just not a guy I have any interest in. Oscar Gonzalez, Josh Naylor, of course, Jose Ramirez, Ahmed Rosario, and Stephen Kwan. I went backwards from 5 up to 1 because I sort of like them in that order. I think you can get some really cheaper pricing on Naylor and Gonzalez. You got to pay the piper on Jose Ramirez, which I will do. He's just so damn good. And I think, Cleveland and Baltimore are in pennant races here, and they're bringing it. And, I always feel good having Ramirez in the holster for any game. Rosario is a little much at 5.3. That is a price that bothers me a bit. Kwan is sub 5K, so certainly some interest there with the lefty against Bradish. So I will have exposure to the Indians and some one-offs from the Baltimore side. All right, we have 3 games left, and some it's the main slate, in some it's not. So you're going to have Yahoo all day, etc. But these 3 are going to show up pretty much everywhere you're looking unless you're playing the early slate. Texas Rangers, Boston Red Sox played in Boston, a real cool, probably 68, 70 degrees, somewhere in there, very comfortable, slight breeze. Definitely not, the touch of fall starting in the upper Northeast as we've turned the calendar to September. And Vegas likes this game for hitting. 9 is the total. Taking the bump for the Rangers is Glenn Otto at 6K, and he'll go against the veteran Rich Hill, who just tossed a phenomenal game last time out. The lefty is 7K. It's a 3.89 implied total for the Rangers, a big 5.11 for the Boston Red Sox, a team that a lot of people are looking to stack. Do I like any bats here? I do like bats on the Boston side. So I'm with the majority there. I do like them as one of the stacked teams. They're hitting decently. I think Otto's a bit of regression move here. Not probably going to play any Ranger bats. I'm not going to roster Rich Hill as of right now, but I think at his price, the way he's pitching, and, a lefty against Texas can give him some difficulty because really Corey Seager and Nate Lau have been their money ball players. And, lefty here. I know there's some reverse splits with Hill, but still, I would say that I'm not going to target him at all with the Rangers, but I do like some of these Boston bats. And I think they're priced right. Pham has struggled. But Verdugo has been good. Bogarts, who had a grand slam yesterday. Devers certainly can always play, but that's a big price reach. But after that, it's not bad. JD Martinez, of course, Trevor Story. Those are guys that can go double dong at any time. And then Franchi Cordero, he's 2K, and he has been hitting the ball. He's got He had homers in consecutive games. He's a guy I'd definitely put in a stack if you're going Red Sox. All right. Let's see. Let's move on to the Rockies and Braves at 720. This is my other pitcher that I'm going after today. He's going to be chalky, and it's okay because he deserves to be. And you don't have to pay through the nose for him. Of course, I'm talking about Spencer Strider. He's only 8.8K on DraftKings, 9.9 on Fanduel, which is fair, and 50 on Yahoo, which is fair. But he's going against this garbage Rockies team. And let's give the game set here. I'm getting ahead of myself. Rockies at Braves, 85 degrees, wind blowing in at 5 miles an hour. That's not a wind, that's a breeze from center in Atlanta. And it's a 2.47 implied for the Rockies, the lowest on the slate, and understandable that Strider's chalky. 5.53 for the Braves. So that's the big question here. I know, shout out to Deb. She stacked the Braves. She had Riley yesterday and Acuna, I believe, and she cashed that GPP lineup with some of that Brave stack. So nice job, Deb. But the question is here, a lot of people going to Strider. I get that. A lot of people going to the Braves stack as well. So do you put all the chips in the middle for the Braves? Here's the big question. I don't want to get up to the Braves cost-wise. For a huge stack, a one-off I'm good with. But total fade for the Rockies here, obviously, with Strider being my main pitcher. I'll tell you this, and a pretty amazing stat here is Colorado's only batting 235 on the road against righties, and they struggle against fireballers like this. Now, the Rockies don't strike out a ton, but Strider can induce more strikeouts than most with that live fastball. So I think it's just a perfect fit for him here. And I think he's the safest cash play on the entire slate. It is a Chad Kuhl, 5.7K for Colorado, and at the several times mentioned Spencer Strider at 8.8K. So real quickly on Strider, he's coming off some really good games, and he's stretched out. Pitched 102 innings. Yeah, that'd be a record. He went 102 pitches against St. Louis and 104 against Houston in his last 2 games, scored 46 Fanduel points in both, and he had 7 Ks against St. Louis and 9 against Houston. And we know he can dial it up. He had 13 earlier in the season against Philly, 12 against St. Louis, 11 against Seattle, 11 against Washington. So I really like him. I like the big 9-10 strikeouts possibly. I know that's a stretch, and that's way over his number, but I do like all of the prop bets on Strider over strikeouts. More realistic look at 8 or 9, but I just think, again, great spot. Hasn't given up more than 1 earned run in only once in his last 7 starts, and that was against the Mets. So I think he's, again, in a great spot. He'll be in pretty much all of my lineups for the all days as well. All right. Let's take a look real quick here. Rangers hit lefties well. Yes, they do. I get that. And I know that whole scenario there, but the Rangers I just don't trust them. Hill's going well. He's a veteran. True, there's a bad pen there, and there are going to be people that stack the Rangers. I just don't trust their bats. I really don't. And the fact that the 2-3 hitters there are lefty, not a good feel for it. I think they'll get ownership, and I think you have a good point, Sean, and I wouldn't blame you for going that direction, but you can't play them all, and some of their guys are priced high, so I'm not going to go that direction. I had Bogarts, but had him in that Cap lineup. Oh, no, you let Cap sink it. That sucks. Sorry about that. Good call on Bogarts, though. I got a question for everyone in chat for Coach. Really, have you guys paid attention to the top pitchers getting slammed at times in the bottom tier? Yes, and I know you mentioned that at the end of the chat the other day, and I apologize. I think it cut off right when you were putting that in there. There's no question there's been a trend that some of the top pitchers have been getting smacked, and some of the mid-level pricing guys have done better. I think there's several reasons for that. I think you've got a lot of teams that have given up, and they're playing young guys. And what's happening there is some of these mediocre pitchers are taking advantage of that and getting some additional elevated numbers. And in other spots, some of these veteran pitchers who have figured it out, they've been around, they're top-notch guys. Sometimes they don't know who these young guys are enough. Now, you get all kinds of scouting, all that information, and I get that, but it does equalize things a little bit for some of the veterans. I know this is just my own take, and I wanted to share this with you because I gave it some thought the other day, and I know not many people are saying that, but if you really think about it, these mediocre pitchers can take advantage in some spots of these younger guys. So that's going to help them in specific spots get higher fantasy scores. And the older guys who pretty much have figured out the whole thing with who they're facing, veteran or not, some of these guys they faced 40, 50 times. They know what they like, pick corners. And with young guys, yes, they're reading some statistics and knowing that stuff, and they can take advantage of them in some spots, but it's still an unknown. You just don't know until you face somebody sometime. So, I think that has a tendency to come into play. Sometimes trends happen for a reason, and there's outliers to all of them. I look at DeGrom yesterday. He certainly didn't get blown up. He was fantastic. And, and sometimes it's just trends. And also there are teams that are feeling the pressure in pennant races, and you're getting good pitcher against good pitcher in some cases where that has a tendency to, when you're feeling pressure on every pitch, you give up some more runs. So all that to say, King of Smack, I agree with you. And I think you can, that's part of the reason today I feel pretty comfortable with the mid-level price guys of like a Strider and Gilbert, and don't feel I have to pay up, just to get to a couple of those high-price guys like Bassett because of a lot of those dynamics that I mentioned, and then the matchups. And everything is different every day. I mean, you don't want to get stuck on one specific thing like that and let it affect you too much. Be aware of it, utilize it in spots, but don't let it dominate your play, because you can also tilt the needle too far the other way as well. I hope that helps, and I wanted to share that the other day as well. Thank you, Todd. Really appreciate it. Glad you can listen in. We're going to have a bunch of giveaways, too, with our new partners, Boom Fantasy. So definitely catch those for sure. New York Yankees need to send Cole to AAA. Wow. I don't know if that's quite going to happen, but maybe slightly overreaction, but I get what you're saying. A lot of these top pitchers have been dog doo-doo, if you know what I mean. I get you. All right, let me go through a little bit of, so we don't run up right against lock. Let me give you my BVP month and HR, a few different calls here. My BVP today is going to be, let me see, where is he? It is going to be Dansby Swanson. I like the Braves. I talked about a couple of these Braves being solid. They're going to be owned. Swanson's 4 for 7 in this matchup. So he's seen him, Chad Kuhl, and he's hit him. He's walked against him. So 1339 OPS, 714 slugging, 625 OBP, 571 average. Small sample size, but we believe in it here. Swanson is expensive, but I like him in the 2-hole. I love when he's batting right in between Acuna and Riley. He's going to get every pitch he wants to see, and therefore he is my BVP play today. My home run call, and I can do it because I'm going against Bassett, is Max Muncy. He's faced, talk about small sample size. I know you can yell at me if you want, only twice, but he's homered off him. So a home run's a home run. It does make his OPS pretty funny at 2667. So I'm not going to read you those numbers, 2 at bats really. But listen, it's a homer, and it's Max Muncy, and he's going better, and he's affordable. And for all the people that roster Bassett, it's going to cause Muncy's ownership to go down. So he's my home run call today. All right, my stacks. I think I alluded to some of these stacks earlier. There's a few spots I want to go. I like the Boston Red Sox today against Glen Otto at home. I like the Cleveland Guardians today against Kyle Bradish. I think they're in for a really solid game. I get that everybody's going to be on the Braves. I'm not going to be fully stacking them. Try to just nitpick one or two guys there if I can. So that's where I'm leaning from a stack standpoint. Let me give you my PrizePicks and Boom Fantasy selections. I'm going to give you 4 picks today. Again, for those, thank you for the, I'm glad you like the call on Muncie. I'm going to give you 4 plays, all prop style plays today rather than direct bets, because I want you to be able to play them on PrizePicks. And for those that are able to take advantage of Boom Fantasy, I want you to be able to jump on those. I may give you a few money line plays as well. All right, here are my plays right now that I like. I like Kyle Bradish under 16.5 fantasy score. Again, I'm going to be stacking against him. I think Cleveland can knock him around. And if you look, Cleveland gives pitchers trouble pretty generally. They take a lot of pitches. They're just a smart hitting baseball club. Dansby Swanson, one of my BVP plays, over 7.5 fantasy score. Like him very strongly here. And again, you can play all of these. Some of the lines will be a little bit different between PrizePicks and Boom Fantasy, but we want you to really try out Boom Fantasy. All the links are on everywhere we are. So give them a try. Get that match up to $100 in that first deposit. Jose Ramirez over 8.5, part of my Cleveland stack. And you can never leave Ramirez out of a stack if you're playing the Guardians. So he is a play that I really like. But in that same game, I'm going to go under Shane Bieber. Not that I dislike him. Again, I'm not 100% fading him, but 42.5 is a pretty big number. And Baltimore's going well. And they have some nasty switch hitters and a couple of super young guys, including Gunnar in there now. And I think they can give Bieber just enough trouble to keep him certainly under that 42.5 total. And then the 2 wagers I'll give you today, it's not going to be reinventing the wheel here, but Dodgers minus 135. Again, maybe some people are going Mets there. I just think that's a super fair price. And Boston minus 170, you got to lay the green. I don't quite want to go run line and give the 1.5, but I do like Boston. So Dodgers and Red Sox. So again, no big underdogs there, but I think they're going to be solid. So, all right, we're right at 12:43 Eastern. I wanted to give a good 20 minutes to end the podcast so everybody can get lineups in and get those together and set. What I'm going to do right now is for our members. If you want to become a member, go to dfscoachtalk.com. But I'm going to jump in our member Discord and post ownership and stacks. Let everybody know where that's going if you want to line up some leverage there. Also, if you would do me a favor here on the way out, hit the thumbs up if you can, the subscribe button. That means a lot to us on YouTube. If you're watching live on Twitter, like and retweet. Send that on. We want to share the love and grow this as much as we can. Milwaukee versus Arizona. Did I forget that game? Holy crap. Without somebody here to guide me, I did forget that game. I am so sorry. It is the late game all by itself, 9:40. Thank you so much for reminding me. I would have been very upset if I forgot about that. It is in Arizona. Dome closed according to Deb because it's still smoking hot in Phoenix area. The total 7.5. The humidor keeps the scores down there for sure in the Dome. 3.97 implied for Milwaukee, 3.53 for the Diamondbacks. Brandon Woodruff. How could I forget this game? Crash would have a heart attack. Brandon Woodruff, 10K. Merrill Kelly, 8.1K. Obviously, as you can tell, this isn't going to be a key game for me. I'm not on Woodruff. Not that he's going real bad or anything, but he just hasn't been the Woodruff that we've seen in the past. He's given up some hits and some runs. And I'll tell you what, Arizona, if you haven't noticed in the last, 3 weeks or so, are playing better ball. So I'm not sure. Woodruff, I'm sure, is going to get a lot of ownership. I get it. Late game. He's going against an Arizona team that's not that good, but they're going better than they were. And they have a couple of young guys in Corbin Carroll, who I really like for the Diamondbacks, and that, really going to help that team, I think, in the future. Merrill Kelly, not really, powerhouse on him either. At 8.1K, he hasn't been the world's worst, but again, I don't want to super pick on anybody. I don't really want to play these pitchers, so it's going to be a game I'll have little exposure to. I think you can, if Roundy Tellez is back with that knee and feeling better, you can look there. Colton Wong was massive for me the other day. One-offs in that Milwaukee lineup, I think, make perfect sense. And then on the Diamondback side, if you want to go cheaper, certainly, you can go to some of those youngsters like a 2K Carroll. Varsho's 4-2, Walker's 4-1, more toward the middle of that lineup, which are not bad plays. So for me, I'll grab a one-off here, one-off there, but I'm not targeting either one of these pitchers and not going to stack either one of these teams. But thank you so much, Payne, for reminding me not to miss that one. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? And then I'll let you guys get going so I can post those ownership numbers for our members. We will see. Hopefully your Brew Crew does get it together. I know Crash is on his way back from viewing all those games against the Pirates. So he'll be back with me tomorrow. We'll be at our regular time tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and the full main slate, huge amount of games tomorrow night. And Crash and I will not only be going over all of those, we'll be sharing a Two Brains Are Better Than One full lineup GPP build on the podcast tomorrow. That we've had a lot of people request that. So really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on here, live here before the games locked down for early. I'll be playing all the slates with you guys and following in Discord. Again, thank you to our newly presenting sponsor, Boom Fantasy. Click on any of the links on any of our social media. They're all attached here in the bios, and we'll grab those. And we'd love to have you be a part of what they're doing there. And I'll be posting those states where everything is going from there. So, all right. Appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. And definitely tune in again tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope we'll have some Boom giveaways, and Two Brains Are Better Than One, and Crash back in the house. So have a great one. Take down all the slates on all of them. I'd love to see some winners in here tomorrow. So thanks again. Have a great day. And we'll be back tomorrow when we look to crush it in MLB DFS, sponsored by Boom Fantasy.